Hey, Gender Crew Chat, Joe here. It is Sunday, and it's Sundays with Joe. And this week's topic is, do you have any role models or mentors growing up, or do you have any now? And I'm assuming that means genderqueer role models or gendered role models. I had a lot of role models and mentors growing up, but I don't know that they necessarily relate, but I'll tell you about them anyway. Probably the biggest one, of course, was my friend Angela. I've mentioned Angela in previous videos. I call her my child-free mentor. I met her when I was about 19, and she was about 40. And when I first met her, I asked her if she had husband or kids or whatever, and she said no. She said she had her tubes tied when she was 22. She never wanted kids. And that was the first awakening I ever had to the idea that you could live a non-conventional life. Really, truly. That was probably like my first... Like, I knew I was kind of a non-conventional teenager and stuff like that, but I didn't really get on a soul level that you could live this way for the rest of your life, and it was perfectly okay till I met her. She had boyfriends a bit throughout the years that I knew her, but she was predominantly single, child-free, a lot of fun. I really aspired to be like her when I grew up, and I succeeded. She really was a huge influence in my life and a huge role model in that I really truly did want what she had. Wanted a bite of that pie. So she was probably the biggest influence in my life. I was just trying to think as I was preparing for this video. When I was 15, I had an opportunity to go on this exchange to Arizona. I was an air cadet. It was like baby military or whatever. And that Christmas, I went back to stay with the people I'd met that summer. And one of the girls I stayed with, her name was Amy, in Phoenix, Arizona. And I remember we went to go visit her aunt. And I don't remember exactly the details, but okay, so most military families in the U.S. are Republican, and at that time this was like the 88 or whatever. I think Dukakis was running for president. And, it was, I guess, 88. Who was president then? Reagan. Bush won. So you can imagine, like, it was a very pro-military family I was staying with, and a very right-wing, I would imagine, sort of conservative family. And they told me when we were going to go to her aunt's house, they said, oh, she's a little weird, or they kind of warned me there's something strange about her, but they didn't really say what. And when we got there, I remember the woman was living in the woman lived in a house, and she had a friend who lived in a trailer in her front driveway. But the aunt's name was Olivia Freewoman, and it was a lowercase o and a lowercase f. And she had legally changed her name to Olivia Freewoman. And I remember thinking, who's this? What's this all about? And we sat down and talked to her for a long time. And my friend Amy really did like her. Like, she loved her aunt, and she was close to her aunt despite these weird differences. And this was probably the first, like, freakish feminist lesbian I ever met in my life. And I remember her telling us about how she changed her name because she wanted to be free and she was a woman. And but I also remember her friend. I don't remember her friend's name, but I remember this woman visiting who lived in the trailer in her front lawn. And this woman came in, and I had asked her something like, oh, are you married or do you have kids? I think that was a thing I did when I was younger. I think I just presumed everybody was married with kids. And I remember the woman saying pretty bluntly, oh, no, I'm not like that. She goes, I'm the other kind or something. And she basically said, oh, I've always been attracted to women. And I think she was probably the first kind of old-time dyke that I ever, like, she was in her 50s, and, these people, both of them, really made a mark on me. I vividly remember they were very different than everyone else that I had, these military families that I was staying with, and yet they were accepted by their military families, like their sister, I guess, Olivia was the sister of Amy's mom or something like that, or dad, I don't know. Anyway, those were two people that left a mark on my life. I, only had one encounter with them, but I still, 25 years later, I remember them both quite vividly. I also babysat for a woman named Mary when I was about 15. Oh, big year in my life, eh? And she attempted to teach me how to drive. She took me out a couple times. It was a standard transmission, and I was not particularly good at it. But I remember sitting with her at her table after I babysat for her, I think, all summer. She was writing a thesis in her basement. She was just in the basement, but she just needed somebody to take care of the kids while she focused on her thesis. And when she would come upstairs, we would sit at her kitchen table and smoke. She let me smoke in her house. This was back in the 80s when everybody smoked. And she always treated me like a human being, and she always talked to me. And I had a lot of these interesting women in my life that were different. Like, they didn't fit the mold of like normal conventional people. Mary was very weird. She was her whole house was decorated with dragons and dragon paraphernalia. She was really into medieval stuff. She was very much to the beat of her own drummer. She was a big influence on my life. I recently reconnected with one of her daughters, one of the kids I babysat on Facebook, and it turns out shortly after I stopped babysitting for her, Mary abandoned her kids and met some guy and moved to Newfoundland. And I'm stunned because I was really close to her when I was 15. She was a big influence in my life, and it kind of made me think I had a lot of people in my life that were kind of not sketchy, but they weren't. I think I had some bad influences when I was younger. You know, I often talk to my mom about this, about who she let us hang around with. And I hung around with a lot of people who wound up kind of being not bad people, but there were always something wrong with the people. Like, I think this is why I gravitate towards people with problems, as it's kind of a lifelong habit, you know. Um, I'm just trying to think of some more gender role models I had growing up. In some weird way, my sister was one because she was you know, if I can't be a good example, I'll live as a horrible warning. My sister was so girly and so trapped in the patriarchy that like she could never say no to boys, and she didn't know how to stand up for herself. And I vividly remember in our teen years looking at her like I couldn't understand why she was living the life she was, and I really truly couldn't understand you know, why she was she would just make herself up, and she was a real people pleaser, a man pleaser. And I knew I didn't want to be that way. I really truly, she influenced me in that I knew I didn't want to be like that. Same with my mom. My mom, I didn't want to be that kind of a woman, right? Like they were very trapped in the gendered idea of what a woman is. I think partly due to the religion, although my sister is not religious. Um, We did this actually about a month ago. If you look back at the beginning of September, we did role models, and I think I was mentioning Chantal Hebert and some TV people, Chaz Bono and stuff like that, and people on YouTube. By the way, I just watched Zane Laura Gabriel's video, and it was totally wonderful. You should go watch it. Beautiful, beautiful words about their mom, and how you should, you know, really take opportunities to go be with your mom, because before you know it, they're gone. Speaking of which, I'm on my way to go see my sister and my mom right now because my sister's boyfriend is, he's in palliative care. He's on his last legs. He's dying. And they just used the word palliative today for the first time. So my sister's a bit of a wreck. So we're just going to go be together. But the other thing Zane Laura Gabriel said, which is so true, is that the influences now are the YouTubers. And that's a fact. The genderqueer chatters. I can't I can't even imagine what my life would be like without YouTube, because there's no one like us in my personal reality, you know? Like, we have the connections I've made with trans people and genderqueer people and just people in, you know, people of like-minded people in my world has all been through the internet. I mean, I live in a world where I wouldn't see it, I wouldn't connect with it any other way. So I don't know what I would do without the internet. I don't know what I would do without genderqueer chat or YouTube in general. You know, definitely the people who have influenced me. Um, so Angela, Olivia Freewoman, Mary. I think that's it for my mentors. I had a cousin, Kathy, who again was crazy. She's a little bit nuts. But she was single and child-free too, and she's about 17 years older than me. So when I was 17, she was 34, I think, and she lived with us for about 6 months when I was 17. And she was a big influence on me again. Single, child-free women. This seemed to be a common theme in my life. I seem to have, although Mary had kids, but it was interesting to have people in my life who opened my eyes to it, you know, unconventional ways of living. Holy crap! I'm already at 9 minutes. Okay, bonus question. If you could have one wish come true, what would it be? And the obvious answer is more wishes, right? So that cop-out being told, if I had unlimited wishes, friends. I wish I had more friends. I wish I had more close, like, connected friends. Something I'm lacking in my life. And interestingly, one of my best friends in the whole wide world, Paloma, is coming to visit me next Sunday. And she lives in Oregon, and we've been planning this trip all year. And now with my sister's husband dying, it's, you know, I don't know if there's probably going to be a funeral in the very, very near future. And it might happen while Paloma's here, and this drama. So I'm looking forward to Paloma's visit. You know, she's one person I've connected with in my life, but she lives a continent away, so I don't get to see her very often. And what else? The tidy Jean. Oh my God, I'm cleaning the house right now in preparation for her visit, and it's just I don't know why I'm this way, and I just wish to God, yeah, tidy Jean, tidy Jean. World peace. I don't know. These are really lame. Fame, fortune, money, happiness, mental health, peace, the whole 9 yards, right? Okay, I've got to go to the hospital to pick up my sister, and I will see you guys next week. Bye bye.